Hey up.
Hey, how are we all? Already
Yeah,
got some people in the chat. Exciting.
it's warm, isn't it? I've had to turn the fan off because it makes a lot of noise. I've got an old tower fan. I'm surprised it's still going. I think I've had it since I moved in here, and that's 18 years.
Ah,
But,
nice.
but it sounds like a jumbo jet taking off whenever I switch it on. So
Yeah,
be
it's
too
actually
distracted.
not too bad here just now. Neither it is. I've got the door open,
Yeah.
so it's a bit cooler. But I've got a fan here. This is a tower fan I've got behind me.
Can you
What's not so
believe
loud?
as well that nights are drawing in? It's dark.
I
Or
know. I think it feels strange because we didn't really get much of a summer. Certainly not up here. Um, So yeah, it feels weird that it's already getting darker nights when we feel that we're still really owed our summer. Um,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's getting darker.
And blessed Lamas, Lunasata, everybody who follows the wheel of the year.
Yeah,
Should we say hello to people as well? So who
definitely.
we've got Nancy was the first one in. Hello, Nancy. She's looking forward to this, as this is one of
Hey,
her
Nancy.
favorite decks. She's not alone there. We've got Esco and
Hey, let's
Tony.
go.
The lovely Naomi's here. Evening, Chris, Simon, and all. We've got Saskia and Malamia. Why can't I scroll? Why can't I scroll? New comments. Well, that's new. Frightened about missing anyone now. There we go. And then we've got Deanne. Hi, Deanne. And Jonathan. Aloha, Jonathan. We've got Magdalena, Lily Rose, Star and Flurry. We've got Cheryl. Hi, Cheryl. And Witchcraft Now. I like that. I like that channel name. Red Wing and Stephanie. Hi, Stephanie. We've got Lel and Shadow Worker. So nice to see everybody here. Hope everybody's doing okay. How are you doing,
Yep,
Chris?
I'm doing good. Thanks. Thursday. Thursday evening's my best time of the week because it's when my weekend starts. How about you?
Yeah, I've got one day left, then I've got all next week off, and then I'm in for a week, and then I've got another week off. So yeah,
Nice.
what you got to drink? That looks like it could be alcohol, doesn't it? Like a fruity cocktail or something,
I know
or
it looks like dark fruits.
dark fruit cider.
Yeah.
It's actually cold brew tea.
There you go.
It's strawberry lemonade, cold brew tea.
Nice. I've got a cup of tea, just standard tea, and I've also got water, which I very rarely drink water on its own. And to be honest, usually if I crave water, it means I'm coming down with something. So I'm hoping that's not the case. I think I'm just thirsty, to be honest with you. Um, but yeah, and because it's kind of a quite warm today.
You don't want to be coming down with something when you're just about to start your long weekend off either, do you?
No, no, I know. That's true. I've got some things on this weekend as well. I really don't want to be ill for. So, two of my sisters are going to Australia to travel.
Oh
So
wow.
my stepmom's having like a wee leaving party for them on Saturday. So I'm going to go over there for that. So I would rather not be ill.
No, it's no fun. What was I going to say? Someone's just mentioned as well. It was Lily Rose that Interview with a Vampire season 2 starts tonight. Loved the first season. Did you see it?
I don't think so.
Oh,
Good.
so good. Yeah, really good. It's been really hot. Yeah. Also, can we get a sound check because sometimes when I don't have ear pods in, there's an echo, but we seem to be all right tonight. So, well, if someone just let us know that you can hear us both okay, and if not, then I can put my ear pods in.
I think it seems fine to me. It's normally I can hear the echo if it's because you've not got your earphones in. So
Right.
yeah, people are saying we both sound good.
Cool. Right then. So, shall we begin? Throwback Thursday.
Sure.
When did we start this? Was it earlier this year? Or was it back end of last year, wasn't it? When did we even start doing a
Was it not a
collaborative?
good year ago now?
More than a
I
year ago.
can't. A good year ago, I'm sure. There must be a quick way to check this.
There is. I go to my playlist, I suppose, because
And count how many we've done.
playlists. Now that I've got YouTube Music, it's really annoying as well because every time I listen to music, it goes into my playlists on my videos, and that's not good. Here we go. Throwback.
The first one we did was Shimmering Veil, actually. So
yeah, we need the ones that we did together. Shimmering Veil, which was the date was June the 1st, 2023.
There you go. So it has been over a year.
Gosh, that's flown though, hasn't it?
I know. It really has.
I can't believe
good
you.
though. I like doing it.
Yeah, it is. It's fun. It's always nice, especially because the decks that obviously we think a lot of, aren't they? Because they're in our collection and they've stayed in our collection because we have our 3-year rule for it to become a throwback. So yeah.
And Simon is very strict about that 3-year rule, folks, aren't you, Simon?
Yeah. Do you know why? I'm going to tell you why. She wasn't offended by it, but I did a Throwback Thursday because I started doing them when I used to do it on my own during lockdown. And I can always remember it was on a Thursday, and every time I used to start, they could hear the banging of the pots. You know, people used to bang the pots and things and clap for. Because I live in a complex, somebody could hear it. But this particular one, I did Throwback of Poppy Palin's Everyday Enchantment. And Poppy was in the chat. So automatically I felt like really sort of, oh my God. But she was so gracious because she said in it, if you don't want me to be here, Simon, being as it's my deck, I'll happily go and leave you to it. And I was like, no, you're fine, stay. But she put a comment in that said something along the lines of, wow, I find it hard to believe that my deck is already considered to be a throwback. And I was like, yeah, I've only really had it like 2 years. A really modern deck. So that's why I was like, yeah, I think really if we've had the deck for like 3 years, or it was really longer than 3 years, but for it to be a throwback, otherwise it's just a revisit, isn't it? Shit, it takes me a year to open decks sometimes.
Yeah. I wish I had that, like that restraint. I can barely wait until the end of my shift sometimes when I get a deck to open it. Like I could have a deck sitting for a year.
I've got one that's unopened.
For how long?
Since I bought it.
I know that, but that kind of goes without saying. Clever clogs, but really,
yeah, it's still sealed.
You've had that before though, because that's a deck that you edged and then you weren't happy with how it was edged. Remember?
That would be why then. That would be why. Because if I wasn't happy, I bet I've bought it again. But I've not opened.
Still got the edged one.
And I knew because when I was about a month ago or so when we was about to do a live and I was extremely stressed because I couldn't find the deck. Do you remember? I was like, I can't find the deck. He was like, we can postpone if you want. I was like, no, I want to find it. I saw it and I was like, how have I got a deck that's not open? It's still in its I dream of that deck, Simon. Why is it out of print, Hershey? Yeah, so I was like, how is this a thing? And then there's one deck that I opened just to show, but I ordered a deck a few years ago and it's got a real bad energy around it because it comes from a cult, which I wasn't aware of. And so by the time I got it, and I spent a lot of money getting it, I couldn't open it or work with it. So and then I mentioned it in a live, and someone said, "Oh, let's see them." So I opened it, but that's probably sealed for about 2 years as well.
There you go. Well, actually, and saying all that, I mean, I do have. Wonder if it's kicking about somewhere where I can put my hands on it. But there it's there. So I do have a second copy of the very deck that we're here to talk about. That's still
Oh,
sealed. The reason for this, and this plays into what we're going to talk about soon, because we always talk about how long we had it. So I've had this since it was very first published. I got this before a lot of people in the UK because Justin Michael, you know how it came out in the US, or it was available
yeah,
to get in the US before it was in the UK, and Justin got a copy and sent it to me.
jealous.
But I had also, yeah, but I had ordered it. I had pre-ordered it on Amazon, the same as everyone else. And I just left the pre-order on there. But when I was getting an issue getting it, I said to Justin, he was sending me the Shining Tribe Tarot actually, and he sent me this with it. So that's why I've got two copies, and this one has remained sealed for the 3 years that I've had it. I always say I'm keeping it because maybe one day I'll open it and colour in. I'll colour it in so that I've got like a colour version. But that's a big commitment. Do you know what I mean? Because once I start, I would want to finish it. Otherwise, it's just going to be something in the back of my mind that I've not done.
Um,
Um,
I mean, I'm surprised I don't have a backup of this because my favorite decks, I always tend to usually get a backup of it. I was a grumpy bugger when I got this because there was no Oneness Emporium then, and we just relied on the release date of Amazon, and it delayed and delayed and delayed. So by the time I got it, I was like, well, here's the deck that the world and its dog has got. And I've had to wait all this time. But yeah, well, that destroyed my segue because I was going about unopened decks, and I was going to go. But anyway, one deck that certainly is not still sealed, and then you whip out a sealed one.
Sorry, my bad. Yes, we're here to talk about. Spoiler alert: we're here to talk about the Tarot of the Abyss by Anatolian, aren't we?
We are, and it's one that I'm really excited to do. But Chris and I was talking earlier. It's probably our most challenging one to do in some ways because we both really love it so much, and trying to choose favorite cards out of a deck where almost every card is just brilliant is not easy. So yeah, and we were saying that we will probably for this one, we'll probably go a little bit quicker through them just because famous last words.
I know. I'm laughing because we say that a lot, don't we? We're going to be really quick going through it, and then
Yeah.
one is usually
All
me
right.
goes off on a tangent.
I usually start videos off with just coming on quickly today, and then like 40 minutes later, thanks everyone, bye.
Funny. Right. This deck was released 3 years ago in 2021. It's strange to think that it's been out for so long. Like I can remember like getting this and being excited to get it, like it wasn't that long ago. But at the same time, like I feel as though I've been working with this deck for years and years and years and years. So on one hand, it feels really quick, but on one hand, it doesn't. On the other hand, it doesn't. Um, we've said the artist is Anna Turian, and you can really tell the artwork is like classic Anna style. You can tell just by looking at it that it's hers. I think her artwork is very distinctive. Um, it's just something about it that's just very unique and very Anna. Um, this deck was published by US Games. So this is now you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but this is the only tarot deck that Anna has done that I'm aware of that has gone straight to mass market. That what didn't start out as a the opposite of mass market, indie,
Indeed.
as an indie.
Yeah,
I know
the
that. Sorry,
I was going to say the only other one is the Ethereum, wasn't it? That's is that classed as mass
of
market?
course. Yeah, I think so. But you're right. You're absolutely right. I think it is mass market because it's like, but it's French. It's a
Yeah.
French kind of a company that do it.
So it's not that
Um,
mass really, because it was difficult to get hold of, wasn't it? It's not. You'd
yeah.
have to
Well,
navigate French Amazon, which isn't a joy.
no, you don't have to. You can just go onto the UK Amazon and order it from there.
Yeah, I think that happened after the fact, though, didn't it? Because I had to do
Didn't it?
it. Yeah,
Oh,
and then I think you
okay.
told me that it was then available, that you could just go to our Amazon and get it. Our Amazon.
Right. I know what you mean though.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I hadn't thought of that. And I know that Anna is releasing. It's not. I don't think the release date's there yet. But the Pathwork Oracle, that's I think gone straight to mass market. Uh, that's available to pre-order on Oneness Emporium. So it is for anyone who is in the UK. Get your wee butt over to Cheryl's website and get it pre-ordered because it's less than 20 quid and it looks like it's going to be an amazing Oracle deck.
Yeah. I've said before, and I'll probably say numerous times again, but I Anatorian can't do any wrong. Her work is just, it hits the spot for me every single time. I love just the powerfulness of her images. They really hit deep. And this deck in particular, the different levels and layers within the artwork. Um, every time I use this deck, I spot something else. Like, "Oh, I never realised that there, was connected to that." The longest time I was thinking, I wonder why there isn't nine pentacles in the nine of pentacles, and then all of a sudden I spotted them. Do you know what I mean? And it's just the
Mm,
little things, or it's just really clever. You have to look at the detail in the artwork to spot some really significant symbology.
yeah, yeah. No, it's stunning. Just like, and I've already said this, but very unique. Like you don't get another deck like it when you buy one of Anna's decks, in my
Yeah,
opinion, anyway. Um, but yep, US Games. Talk about the production. So the packaging is a sturdy two-part box. Um, this is the best kind of packaging in my opinion because it does what it needs to do. It keeps the cards safe, but it's a good size. Like it's not really that much bigger than a tuck box, so it's going to fit nicely on the shelf next to your tuck boxes. It's going to go nicely in your bag, or I mean, you need a pretty big pocket to be fair, but like maybe like a jacket pocket, you can shove this in and you'll be absolutely fine. Um, and it's beautifully designed. That Anna's kind of a like the artwork on the box is based on the cards, and you can tell that she's kind of a designed the box as well. The book is fantastic.
yeah,
It's like fits and it's made to fit in the box, so it's about the same size as the cards. But you're getting a great like amount of information on each card, I think. So this is ideal of a book in my opinion.
Yeah,
Do you
I
like the
think
book?
I love the book. I like the fact that she talks you through the process. So for each card, whether it's a major or a minor, she'll start off by describing the scene and also
Mhm.
her process for depicting that archetype in the way that she has in a lot of the cases. And then it goes into traditionally, the strength card would show this, and then she'll give the divinatory meaning. But I love it because that's something she's very generous with, you know, as an artist. When she released earlier this year, Tower of Echoes, you know, there's an hour and a half, I think it is, video that she put out going through each card and talking people through why she created that card the way that she did. And I
Yeah,
love that. I love that because so many times I'll get a deck that where it doesn't do that, and I think I don't want just, you know, the four of coins means this, you know, and if it's particularly if it's portrayed in a certain way, I love it when the artist takes time to say, this is why I've depicted the four of coins
yep.
in this way. So, and she does that, and you know, it's not it's
Here's the plot synopsis for the four.
sorry, my watch is
All right.
talking to me. You know, it's not the thickest of books, but it's certainly not. It's more than a little white book, but she's cram packed enough information in there, and it's a great little book for. Again, when I first got this deck, having a look at a particular image and really sitting and contemplating that image, but then going to the book and reading why she depicted it that way, and also picking up those little gems that I might have missed, you know, when looking at the artwork. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's wonderful.
Yep. As the cards are your standard US games size, so they are. So yeah, like there's no point in doing a comparison, but it's the exact same size as your standard US games. Um, and the card stock again is your standard US games card stock. So um, I'm trying to think of other decks that are the same, but yeah, it's like it reminds me of like the Superior Smooth from Make Playing Cards. Perfect card stock. Riffle shuffles really well. It's sturdy. It overhands nicely because of the size. It's not too glossy, but it's not too matte either. Like it's still decent where the artwork still pops, if that makes sense. Sometimes I think if cardstock's too matte, it dulls down the artwork a wee bit.
Yeah.
Um, but anyway, I digress. So yeah, that's how that's the production.
And if anybody's got a more modern deck like Ehrenberg, I saw somebody in the chat earlier mention Ehrenberg, same card stock as, like Chris said, what their usual standard good quality card stock is like.
Yep.
Or another famous one would be their Centennial, RWS Centennial, something like that. Toys gives me that sense like after I've handled them, there's stuff on my fingers because they've got like a waxy feel, don't they? They're in how they're treated. Um,
Yep.
uh,
Yeah. So I've already said that I've had this for 3 years because I got it when it first came out. You'll be the same then, Simon, won't you? Because we got this around about the same time.
I got mine late. Well, I got mine in August of 2021, and it was just before going for one of the tarot meetups in Glastonbury, and I took it with me. It was the one where Richie from Longman Tarot was there. Dan travelled down with me. Sandra was there. Sinead. There was quite a few of us at that one because it was like the year after lockdown. And I took that, and because we all took some decks that we loved, so we could all like play with them. And I took that, and I took a Carol Hertz deck, and we had this meal in the Georgian Pilgrim around this great big table, all of us, and then was all passing the decks around. And this was one that I took, because I used it as my reading deck as well for the time, those few days that I was in Glastonbury. I remember that, Simon. That's cool. Yeah, so yeah, it was. And when we first got there, because myself, Sandra, and Dan stayed in the same accommodation, the three of us had this guest house to ourselves, and we got this deck out, was doing readings and playing with them, and so it's got really good memories of like my introduction to it as well.
Yeah, I think I remember that because I did you not do like either a video or it was maybe a live from the kitchen in
Yeah.
that place, and I'm sure Sandra was off her tits. Was she not pissed?
On mulled wine. That's where the mulled wine joke always comes from, I think. It was off.
Oh God, I don't even think Sandra's here to defend herself. Is she? Oh no, I feel bad.
There'll be a comment left.
Yeah, no.
Like, all right, Chris.
I know. I know. I'll be getting a glide later. Right, you wee dick. What's that you're saying about me? Right. What do we use? What do I not use it for? For me, this is everything. Like, I can use this deck for anything. I can use it for. I'm planning on taking it to put it this way. I'm planning on taking this when I do my next event where I'm doing readings. I'm planning on taking this one. Now, I only use decks that I am 100% totally comfortable with at those. That I don't take any decks that I can't read really well with at that. So this is a deck that I have used to within an inch of its life. Yeah. Have you got any kind of special purposes for this deck, Simon, or are you much the same?
Yeah, I'm much the same. You know, when you have a deck that you just love and it becomes a favorite, you tend to use it for everything. But what I would say is this deck is really good for that introspection, just because I find it so multi-layered that and so much kind of, like I said earlier, hidden depth to it, that it really does lend itself if you want something quite impactful. It's not a deck that I'd probably just pull out because I want a quick answer to something, or let's see what my day's going to be. If I want to kind of really think about a situation and get some deep insights to it, then Tower of the Abyss would tick that box. Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. I was saying to Simon earlier, folks, I was laughing because so there's obviously the 2 extra cards in this deck, which we can get to. We can talk about at some point, but because I've basically picked my 2 cards that I wanted to use from the start, and then I've not changed it up. So there's 2 cards that have never been used, and when I hold them next to the deck that I do use, you can really see the difference because this one's all like kind of a well, no, it's not really bad, but like because of Riffle Shuffle and that, you can see that it's a well-loved deck. And then you've got these 2 straight brand spanking shiny new cards next to it. So now I'm like, if I wanted to swap it out and use different cards, I probably wouldn't be able to, or I'd need to like bend them out of shape the same way the deck is, or they would stand out like a sore thumb.
You know, when we was talking earlier and I said to you, oh, there was something I was going to say and I can't remember what it is, so never mind. That was it about those 2 cards, because I use this as an 80 card deck. When it comes to us looking at our favourites, I have got a favourite, but the reason why I use it as an 80 card deck is because, see, very often when a creator puts an alternative card in, it's an alternative image. With this, what Honor's doing is it's an alternative everything. So you've got your traditional. So we're talking about there's 2 cards in the sword suit. So you've got your traditional, but then your alternative isn't just here's a different interpretation of it. It breaks from the tradition and gives you the elemental and numerological version of it. And it's completely different. So for me, when I was thinking about, because when I did the walkthrough, I was like, yeah, I think I like this one, and I'll have this over this. And then actually, when I remember reading the book at the time, I thought, well, actually, if I pull that card, that's going to give me a completely different insight to the traditional one. So I left them both in because they've got completely different interpretations, different meanings. So for me, this is an 80 card deck.
That's all very logical and makes perfect sense, but I can't. Like, and everyone's agreeing with you. Like, I'm the odd one out here. Like,
There's no right
Hershey,
or
and I
wrong.
know this is one of Hershey's favourite decks, if not her favourite. Diane, like they're all saying that they use them all. The thought of having 2 3 of Swords and 2 10 of Swords in my deck makes my brain feel itchy. So it
Even
does. It
completely different.
yeah. Even though like just those two, having 2 of them, just knowing that there's decks out there that have got 2 3 of Swords in them, it just I don't know. It just
Marion's with you.
70 all the way. Right, yeah, must be a Scottish thing, Marion. Must just be us. But anyway, yeah. But I get what you're saying, and it makes total sense because you're right. Like, it's not just like, oh, here's a different picture, or here's like just an alternative image. It goes in a totally different direction and has a different meaning. So it does make sense to have them in there. And I do actually love the images on both of the cards that I don't use. Like, it's not like I don't like them. I love them. In fact, that 10 of Swords is amazing because it brings something else into it. We actually see someone else just walking on and ignoring the person who's struggling.
I'm wondering. I wonder if you're the ones you've chose, because what I've done when I get to mine is I've chose favourites out of those two for each pairing. I wonder if you're the ones you've kept in the deck are the same ones. Be interesting.
That you've chosen as your favourites.
Yeah.
So, well, I'll let you know when you come to them. I've only got one of them as one of my favourites.
Okay.
But
the other one's still a favourite because you've kept it in the deck.
Yeah. The whole deck's fucking favourite. Do you know what I mean? Like, I could have easily have had 78 favourites to share with you, but like you said to me, I've had to be like militant about it. I've had to be really strict with myself and cut it down to a sensible 24.
In the, what is this now then, 14th Throwback Thursday we've done. Some have been difficult in the past, and we've said many times, oh, this was hard because I really love this deck. But this, for me, is the hardest one because I literally could have rang you up early and said, look, let's just go through every single card. Do you know what I mean? But we're sticking to the format, and we're just like, this one really stands out because of, but that doesn't mean that the others aren't favourites.
Yep. Okay. Will we start going through our favourites then?
Yes. And
okay,
also,
I'm going to let you go first because you've got more than me.
Okay. Well, I was going to say as well, people in chat, do be interactive with us. Share your thoughts as well as we're showing the cards, whether they're a favourite of yours. Oh, Sandra's here. Sandra, don't rewind. Don't rewind, Sandra.
Yeah, that Simon was saying awful things about you, Sandra. It's terrible.
Chris threw you under a bus.
Poor Sandra. She's going to be like, oh no, what are you talking about?
I keep mine in this little Kelly pouch. It's not a pouch actually. This is one of those wrap ones. Nice. So it's kept in that. Okay. If we didn't say, did we say? But this is, yeah, we did because you talked about having one that you'd colour in. It is a black and white deck. It's a sketch deck. But I really love it for that because I've got, Tower of Echoes and other decks by Arna, the Bone Stone, things like that she's done. But this, because it is a black and white deck, there's so much. There's like a lot of atmospheric kind of elements to it, isn't it? The cards like where it's really dark in the background are just compared to the lighter ones. There's lots of depth to it.
Yeah.
So you want me to go first? You said.
Yeah, you go first.
Okay. So my first ultimate favorite is the Magician. And I love
that's mine as well.
Is it?
Yeah.
What I love about this is that we very often see the Magician with the tools, the physical tools that represent the elements. What we've got with this Magician is really rooted, is connected to the earth. So that's that kind of, the as above, so below, the connection of the roots to the earth, but the branches that reach up to the heavens. And the elements that we're used to seeing with the Magician that would be on the table, they're infused all the way through. And we've got this magnificent kind of coming together infusement of all the elements in the center. I just think it's such a beautiful image. Anything you wanted to say about why you like it, Chris?
I love the kind of a tree. It's just very different from your traditional Magician, isn't it? I kind of love how he's rooted in the ground, but the branches reach up. Yeah, it's simple, but it's effective. It has the kind of a connecting the above with the below with the tree, which I suppose kind of brings to mind the tree of life. I think, if I remember rightly, I think it might have been Chris Yao that said this, but the pose that it's doing is like a meditation pose, I think. I think it might be like tree pose, or I can't remember, um, but yeah, there's links to that, and then there's obviously this kind of a energy in the middle. You know what I'm like? I'm a sucker for something that does something a wee bit different. So yeah.
Scott, but Sandra said, I'm going to rewind this later, Simon, then I will message you. It was Chris, wasn't me, Sandra.
Yeah, I'm just being a wee shit, Sandra. It was me.
Right, so it's your turn.
Yeah. So Magician and then the Empress is my next one. So I am big on reading the Empress as a creatrix. For me, I'll quite often read cards, like get my meanings from cards. I'll bounce them off each other and look at them in pairs. And the Empress and the Emperor are the two that I kind of pair up in my head, and I'm like, right, the Empress is creating everything, anything and everything you could possibly see, anything that's physical, she brings it into being. And then the Emperor brings order to it. So she creates everything, and the Emperor shapes it, defines it, names it. Do you know what I mean? That to me is how those two cards work. So it's important to me that the Empress is in some way being seen as creating something. As much as I appreciate that historically she was the female ruler, and it wasn't really about much of that. It was, and I know there's lots of people that, for example, take issue with pregnant empresses because they prefer to see it as that kind of a feminine power, which I'm all for. But personally, I like the pregnant empress because it brings in that creation aspect. This, I think, is really brilliant because it does it in a different. Again, it does something a bit different. You can see that she's creating. It's almost like she's creating. She's weaving the world as she goes along. I know that I think that's her dress, but to me, it looks like she's kind of almost creating the world as she walks along. But not necessarily like using that that old pregnancy imagery that lots of people don't really appreciate these days. So yeah, I think it's great
Yeah.
and it's stunning.
I agree with Jonathan as well that she's very Gaia in the image, and that's I get what you're saying about the powerful ruler as an empress, but for me, I love it when the empress she embodies Gaia energy, you know, and she is the earth, and when she's blended into the earth, I just love to see that. I'd got the one before. I'd got the High Priestess. I love this because yin and yang is a symbol that often just gets overlooked. Or it became so popular, you know, people would have tattoos on it of it. And I read a book once called "The Best Seat in the Universe," and there's a whole chapter on the history and origin of yin and yang, and the way it explained it was just perfect. But she's holding it right in the center here, and for me, you know, that's about her positive and negative forces. She is and has an awareness of everything, you know, because yin and yang is about it encompasses everything, and it's about the duality, but how everything has the opposite within it as well. So within good there is bad, and within bad there is good, etc. Same with gender, you know, it talks about the, you know, we might be male but we have feminine aspects and qualities. So she is and encompasses and has awareness of everything. But I also really love the three keys, which is I think I'm right in saying that, you know, that's a nod to the importance of mind, body, and the environment as well. That interconnectedness, or mind, body, spirit, or heart. What was it? Heart, soul, and mind. You know, those three elements, and they're represented with the three keys there. But yeah.
Nice. The next one I have is the wise one.
Snap.
Yeah, I think this is for me the kind of a Pope style. It does what it needs to do, but I can't really relate all that much to it. It's funny, I was talking about this recently, like as much as I think like it can be problematic, I think that there are aspects of life that are problematic, and I don't think that we necessarily just delete them out of the tarot. I think that they still have a place, even if things are triggering or if they're problematic, or you know, that doesn't mean we need to remove them. So I think that the decks that have a Pope style Hierophant or whatever that bring in that religious element still have their place, even if we need to work with them. But this just like kind of this idea of sitting around the campfire telling stories. Yeah, I just think it's a really nice image as well. What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I don't have an issue with the Hierophant because, you know, I'm used to it. I do think sometimes if somebody is triggered by it, then the way that they may interpret the cards could have a different slant. However, whenever I see decks that replace a Hierophant with somebody like Teacher, like the Gaian Tarot, or lots of other new era elements and things like that, or there's like somebody like the Dalai Lama, or a Buddhist, or a religious leader, in this case a shaman, I really love it. And I love that it's called the Wise One, because it's about, instead of dogma and what we think of in terms of rules and commandments, this is about the sharing and passing of knowledge to the younger. It's the elders within those groups, within those cultures, sharing a lifetime of probably many lifetimes, actually, if you think of that knowledge being passed down through generations to younger and receptive ears and hearts to take that information. And I just think it's really beautiful that we've got this older, wise being sharing and imparting knowledge to those that want to listen. And then in turn, they will take that center position, and they'll, as they get towards the end of their life, be doing the same to the next generation. And yeah, it's lovely.
Yep. So my next, I've got a feel. I actually skipped one, so I go to the Chariot next. But I've got a feeling you're going to have the Lovers.
Why?
I don't know, because I just think you'll appreciate this, Lovers. Am I wrong?
You're not wrong.
So you can go first if you want.
So I mean, just look. I mean, I'm sick. No, I'm not sick. That's the wrong. That's too strong. The Lovers is my life path card, and you know, it's not one of my favorite cards in the deck, to be honest. But we always tend to get the same type of Lovers cards in decks, and I just love what Anna's done here. It's just beautiful. This would have took decades, if not a century or more, of these two trees coming together. Their roots are completely, if you look at the bottom, they're just intertwining, but it would have happened gradually over so many years, and then it's almost like they've become one. You know, this kind of coming together. And they've weathered all storms. That's the beauty of a tree. It's seen all seasons over and over again. It's been, they've probably been, struck by lightning and stripped bare in winter, and it's gone through just eons of time. But there they are, still together, still strong, and then coming together and becoming dependent on each other eventually, to perhaps prop each other up in their final days. I just think it's beautiful.
Nice. I do like it as well, but it's just not one of my favourites. Hence why I've had to take it out of my mix. I've got the Chariot. I just think that it's. I always talk about the Chariot in terms of like, it's about that willpower and that kind of like keeping that the control over the different aspects at the same time, and it's not good enough to kind of completely take your eye off one and just concentrate on the other, because unless both are working, then the whole thing's going to fall apart. So do you know what I mean? And this demonstrates that so nicely. Do you know what I mean? Because she's resting on both of them. And if one of them starts to fall or goes off in another direction, she's going to find herself doing the splits, and I don't think she's going to really enjoy it. And it's she's traveling over these kind of a choppy, is it choppy waters? I think it is.
Yeah.
That as well. So yeah, there's just lots of kind of a movement and energy in the card that I really like.
I think we're going to have the
What's your
same one.
next? Yeah. No, I don't think so, actually. But on
Really?
you go. Yeah.
The gentleness of this image is just gorgeous. So I had to include the strength card. I mean, just look how talented an artist Anatolian is. Just look at that. I remember looking through the deck, and I watched a lot of the cards being created because I joined the Facebook group while this deck was being created all the way through lockdown and before lockdown from 2019 onwards. But I remember gasping when I got this card. I was like, oh, it took my breath away. It's such a powerful image, and that's just because of how calm she is and how gentle she is. Look at the hand just underneath. It's not forcing a jaw. It's just that that's strength. That's real strength. And both of them, you know, both human and beast here are just, they're no threat to each other at all.
Mhm.
And there's just that calmness and peace to the image and respect for each other, you know.
Yeah. Oh, it's an absolutely stunning card. I knew you were gonna have it though.
So predictable.
And no, I think it's just one of the best cards in the deck. And when I was reading on Monday with this deck, that card kept coming up. So it came up multiple times. So yeah, it's a stunner. I've got the Hermit next.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, it appears to be a woman, but I suppose don't really know. But we can really see the agedness of her,
Mm.
the wisdom just in her face. I love that it's got a snake on it.
I knew you
The
would.
single snake kind of has Asclepius vibes to me. So there's a bit of healer energy. I just think it's a stunning card, and it's a bit wild as well. The way that the hair and everything's kind of everything's everywhere. Yeah. Do you know? I really love the title, the wee hand designed title bars on this deck.
Yeah, it's
Like
great.
it's everything about, and like the backs are stunning too. Sorry, I know I'm going off beast here, but the backs are beautiful. Um, Everything Anna has created herself, and it's just so
Mm.
good.
I knew you'd love the snake, and Anna said that the snake represents renewal and rebirth, which puts another slant on this for the hermit, doesn't it? Because you can see the aged face, the wisdom, the knowledge, and everything. But again, look, holding the snake and looking at it and recognizing that even though she's coming to the end of her life, you know, everything's cyclical. That rebirth and renewal of all things.
Yep. What have you got next?
I've got justice.
Yeah, same.
Oh, just amazing card, isn't it?
Mhm.
There's an intensity to this, really. So again, you have to look right into the eye to see the scales of justice there. It's a reflection, and this is what I was talking about with this deck in particular. Not everything's not as you see it on the surface. Sometimes you really have to look deep into everything to see the kind of hidden symbols. But that alone is one thing. I love the kind of profile of half of the face showing, and that sort of that one eye open, but it's penetrating and it's looking deep, you know. And if someone's there to kind of to get to the heart of the matter, to make sure justice is balanced and fair, I get a sense from this card of that real sort of penetration of looking into me, for that sort of that truth. Gorgeous.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. How do you feel about the fact that there's no sword on the in this justice card? How important is the sword in the justice card to you?
In that card, it's not. I mean, the scales are there for me. It's I'm a Libra. That's my star sign. So for me, it's about the weighing up. You know, listening to both sides and careful consideration and the balance of probability and all that. The sword is certainly an aspect of it to cut through kind of the truth of the matter, but I don't know how it could have been really incorporated into this image. So I wanted just a sword randomly being there, just to
Yeah, thrown in there.
in. Do you know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah. No, I was just curious.
Having said that, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if Anna didn't leave a comment saying, "Did you not spot the sword under the left nostril, or
Okay, my next one is the hanged one.
yeah, had to be.
Yeah, I couldn't have left this out. This just does. I think this was the first deck that certainly that I know that did this, that
Yeah,
showed you things from the hanged one's perspective.
yeah, you are that
Um,
one, aren't you?
yep.
If I flip it so that you have it that way, and then I can show this would be the actual scene, but because it's from the hangman's or the hanged one's perspective, you are that hanged person, so you're seeing the world from this viewpoint.
Yeah. As Hugin and Munin, the two ravens of Odin. So
Yeah.
it has that Odin kind of a symbolism without needing to have Odin himself on the card. It's just beautiful.
And they represent truth and is it truth and
Thought and
mind?
memory. Thought and memory.
Yeah, yeah. So, and again, when we're thinking about the hangman, you know, and being in that kind of suspended animation and viewing things differently, certainly kind of the perspectives of then that's going to have an impact as well into on the thoughts, the minds, the and like you say,
Yep,
there's quite to that aspect too.
definitely. Yeah, I skip a few here. So what's your next one?
I have put death in, just because again I love these kind of earthy roots and tree aspect, but for here for the death, it's about death has been around since the beginning of time, so it's part of creation, as you can see here, and it's it's deeply rooted. There's no escaping it. It's part of life. And you've got this tree, and there's the creation on the inside, and death is part of that creation. And we see that in the universe, don't we? Things die to create new life in the universe.
Yeah,
The death of stars, etc.
yeah, that's it. And like, it's not a linear process either, if that's the right way to phrase it. Like,
Mm,
we're seeing stars today that have died because of the speed of light and stuff. Stars that we look up in the sky and see, some of them have died out, gosh, thousands, millions of years ago. Do you know what I mean? But we're still seeing them because the light's only just reaching us
yeah,
after all that time.
that's
So
it. That in itself is just mind blowing, isn't it?
I know,
We're looking at something
as
that's not there.
I know exactly.
What is reality?
As it's a total mind fuck, just as death is meant to be. Um, my next one's the tower.
Okay.
So for me, the tower card is about change. Um, for me, the real star of the real secret star of of any tower card is the lightning, and I think it was actually the card was called the lightning. In lots of early decks before it was called the tower. And it's the lightning electricity, like that lightning symbolizes like sudden change coming out of nowhere. Um, so that we really kind of get that aspect to it. We get the lightning. Lots of early decks, they didn't actually show a physical tower; they showed a tree, and we get that. We get this kind of an element coming in where obviously we've got the building, we've got the house, but it's kind of a balanced precariously on this tree, and that kind of a idea of like the meaning that it brings of like, right, this thing that you're up to, this thing that you're doing, you need to watch yourself because you're only going to get away with it for so long. There's only so long before things are going to completely fall apart. So watch yourself, and you know, either you need to intimate this change that's needed, or the tree's going to fall apart from underneath you, and everything's going to go tits up in the air. So I just think it's a really powerful card for the meaning that it invokes.
I love the guy hanging from the underneath as well.
Yeah, like he needs to get out of the way. Do you know what I mean? Or he's going to get crushed.
And it's really cool because in Anna's latest deck, Tower of Echoes, it's a tree again in the Tower card, but it's a bird's nest. Do you remember with the little open mouth chicks? And it's again,
Right.
it's that house of that bird family that's at threat and in peril from the tree that's being struck by lightning. So I love that she kind of has a theme with her tower cards.
Mhm. Yep. What
So
what
I
have you
skip
got
a few.
next?
I skip a few, and my next one is Awakening.
Right, okay.
Be
So
the
I've got
judge.
Awakening too.
Have you?
Yeah, I've got one before it, but I do have Awakening.
Yeah, I just think it's such a powerful image. I love it. I'd love this as a piece of art. So the earthly body, because when we think of the judgment card, it's the angel trumpeting and coming up from the graves, and this is the end of a mortal existence. Who the body is lifeless, laying on the floor, and then this emergence, like I think it's almost like a phoenix rising up from the remains, having
Yeah.
completed that life journey. And this image for me, I just thought, well, that's a brilliant way um, to depict that card, rather
Yeah.
than people rising up from graves. That sort of
Yeah.
end of life, and then on I go on to whatever comes next.
Yeah. It does like for someone who likes the traditional imagery and really gets a lot from that, it does everything that that does. Because we see like the soul being released from the earthly kind of the body. But it just to me it's just so much more than just that kind of last judgment type thing. But no, I agree. I think it's stunning. I had the moon, so that. Um, so again, I love this because of the imagery. I love this idea that they're all caught up. They're all tangled up in the whatever this is, this energy that the moon is emitting. They're kind of tangled up in it, and that's kind of for me what a bit of what the moon symbolizes. It's things aren't familiar, things feel wrong, things don't feel quite right. They're not how you're used to them, and you're not really sure what to do. You're not sure what's right, what's up, what's down, what's safe, what's not. Um, we can see just by looking at it that they've obviously got to cross these two cliffs. They've got to cross that gap to get to each other. But what we don't know is, how safe is it actually going to be for them to do that, because they're obviously all caught up. Do you know what I mean? Are they going to trip and fall down the gap? Um, I just think it's a really interesting way to depict that card.
Yeah. Care Bear says, I saw a tree get struck by lightning in person about 50 yards from me, caught on fire, and the ground shook. It was powerful and frightening. I was shook. I've been struck by lightning, not directly, but it went through me. We was long story, so I'll cut it very short. We was on top of a tower watching this rain cloud coming across the valley, and at the Heights of Abraham in Derbyshire, and I could see this bloke running towards us saying, "Get down!" And we're squashed on the top. There's about 6 of us, and my friend's mum was holding an umbrella, and it hit the umbrella and passed through us all.
Oh my goodness.
It was only her that ended up in hospital because her hand was badly burned, and
Yeah.
she took the brunt of it. But I can just
Yeah.
remember, wow, gosh, what was that? It was like just like a stunning, and it was over in a second, but it was the most unreal experience.
Yeah.
That was
That's quite scary.
2001, that was.
Right.
So,
Jeez, oh.
have you got any more majors?
No, I don't.
Okay, I've just got the world. I really like this world card. I like the fact that we've got the infinity symbol there, but the kind of the cosmic child in the womb with the all-seeing eye watching over whatever that is, and I love that it's just depicted as an eye for a creator, so it's not kind of appertaining to any particular belief, but I just thought it was really good. It's almost like in a womb, isn't it, before we come into the world, and that journey starting again to completion and then going round and back into life form, overseen by the all-seeing eye.
Yeah.
So that's majors. Wow, we was gonna speed up. We're at 10:10.
Oh gosh. Right, what suit are we doing first?
I've got cups, but I can go with whatever.
Let's do cups. Okay, cups. Oh, I've got 4 cups cards.
Okay.
You want to go first?
Yes, can do. So my first one is the Two of Cups. I love this, the Two of Cups. So we've got this kind of interconnectedness going on between these two beings, but still, even though there's that interconnectedness, they're two separate beings here. I just think it's really, really beautiful. It's almost like what do they call it? Is it a helix strand, DNA strand?
Yeah, double helix.
Double helix, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it represents the caduceus, doesn't it? That we tend to see the alchemical line on the Two of Cups, but yeah, it's really nice. I've got the 3 again. This is to do with the perspective, and there's more cards like this. I love that I'm the third person. Do you know what I mean? Or at least I'm seeing it from that third person's perspective. I feel like I'm part of the fun, the laughter, the joy. So yeah, I love this image.
Yeah, I've got it too. It's one of mine. And it's a proper, because it's a celebration, isn't it, when we think of the Three of Cups, and we, the person, is raising the glass. I love the fact that we've got an older person and a younger person, but yeah, it's really cool that we're placed right there.
Yeah. So this almost feels like kind of the crone and the mother. So I
Yeah.
like that we're the wee young one as well. That's nice, isn't it?
Unless it's mother and maiden and we're the real crone.
Yeah. Well, speak for yourself. My next one is the 6. Oh no, sorry, you're supposed to be next.
It's all right.
My apologies. How
Well, mine, I have got 6 as well, but I've also got 5 just before it.
Yeah.
What I love about this is just that again, it's a really, really powerful image, but you rarely get, when you think of the traditional card, you just see somebody that's kind of looking down, but you really get a sense of sorrow here, a sense of sense of pain, really, and just totally overwhelmed by the situation on an emotional level. And
Yeah.
they just cut a really lonely figure, totally kind of isolated. And you get that sense of despair, don't you, when we've all felt in our times that we're totally on our own dealing with all of that.
Yeah. Yep. Jonathan's asking if either of us have the Hidden Waters tarot, the kind of a
I,
Rorschach tarot that Anna's done.
I do.
Yeah, I thought you
I
did.
think
I don't have it.
think about everything that Alan has done to date so far.
Yeah. So yeah, sorry, my next one is the 6.
Yeah,
I think it's quite clever how she's done it. You know, how she's represented the idea of memory and uh, history, nostalgia, all of that kind of a thing. We're actually seeing it inside the person's head.
it's one of my favorites in the whole deck. Actually, I just really love it. Like you say, when we think of the Six of Cups, it's the word nostalgia always automatically springs to mind because of the weight interpretation. But
Yeah.
it's just the reflection is reflecting on the past. And it could be when he was with his dad, his granddad, or whatever it was. It's just it's a far memory, and is recounting it, and we get to see it.
Yeah. It's quite handsome as well, even if he does only have half a head.
Mm.
Um, what's next for you?
That's it for my cups. Is it yours?
Oh, I've got more.
Oh, I thought you've got.
I've got 2 more cups. So I've got the 8 of Cups. Um, uh, Again, I just really like the image. She's very powerful. Um, she's walking away from whatever's going on in that house. You know, even the wine's getting poured out. Do you know what I mean? That's to me, that's you mean business if you're pouring out the wine. Things must have got really bad if the wine's getting tossed. Um, but yeah, no, this card came up. So I think the first person I read for with this deck was Gerald, and this was in a round table reading I read from with us, and this card came up. So yeah, this card always sticks in my mind as one of my kind of a favourites from this deck. Just think it's really nice. And then I also have the Ten of Cups, and again, I talked about that perspective thing.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry, have you got the 10 as well?
I hadn't because I'd only got 4, but I was just looking at it. I was thinking, I was meant to write down the 10 because I
Right.
love it. Yeah, again, same reason you said, the perspective.
Yep.
And
We'd actually
have you ever
part of
watched? Have you watched *Handmaid's Tale*? Have you ever seen it?
Yeah, I think so. Is that with oh, yeah, I'm sure I have.
The final season's about to drop, I think, in September. But I watched the original film with Natasha. I was going to say Bedingfield then, but Natasha Richardson.
Okay.
And that opening scene where she's trying to cross the border with the baby, and he doesn't want to let her go, and they get ripped apart. Hence her
Right.
being made into a handmaid in Gilead. It gives me that vibes as well, but it's I don't know. I look at it and I think, is this a happy card or is it? And traditionally, when we think of the Ten of Cups, it is, isn't it? It's a family unit, and the perhaps running together towards their home. I like to think of it, but because it
Yeah.
reminds me of *Handmaid's Tale*, I think, oh, are they being pulled apart? Is she fleeing
Yeah.
something?
Or so this is interesting because it's Rachel Pollack that talks about when she would read for people, sometimes she would ask them to look at the card and describe what they see. And she was always the same, like Ten of Cups, like family unit, very happy, like culmination of the emotional energy, all that kind of thing. And her querent looked at it and said, well, this the Smith-Waite she's reading with you. And they say, well, it looks as though they're waving goodbye. She thought that was really interesting because she'd never seen it that way. But of course, the 10, it's the end of a cycle, isn't it? So it would make sense if they are waving goodbye. And this kind of invokes that for me. It's like, is this
Mm.
their like, maybe this is where the couple of kind of a started out their life together, but now they're a family of three, so they've outgrown it and they're having to wave goodbye to their happy wee first home, or do you know what I mean? That's what it makes me think of, and it always reminds me of that story of Rachel as well. So for me, it's like a bittersweet thing, I think.
Yeah, I really get that vibe from it.
Yeah.
Hi, Flip.
That's me for cups.
I just wanted to say as well, with what's really clever, because we haven't mentioned this, is when it comes to the courts, they're grouped into an environment. So for the cups, because of the water energy, they're all on board a ship crossing a perilous water. And then there's like for wands, it's in like a woodland area where there's campfires and things like that. And I think that's really clever that the courts represent the surroundings, represent the element that they belong to.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I've picked any courts, or tell a lie, I've picked one, but I could have easily have picked all of the courts just because of for that reason.
I picked one as well, and I've written down here all of the courts because they're for the reason I've just described, the way she's set the courts apart, but in the same landscape. I think it's really clever. Wonder if we've got the same
Yeah.
one.
I'll be surprised because the one that I've picked, I'm like Simon will know I've picked. If he's going to pick one court, it won't be from that suit, but maybe it will.
Okay.
Right, are we wands next, or
Yeah. I've got wands next.
yeah, I've only got one wands card. So do you want to
I've got
do
4.
yours first? Oh,
Yeah. So this blows my mind. This is the 3 of wands. Robin, if you're here and watching. So different perspective to the traditional RWS, but we've got the person standing there looking out, and there's a ship, but it's an optical illusion. And the more you stare at it, the ship flips. So if you look at it, is the ship coming towards you or the person, or is it going away? Now, when I first looked at it, it was coming towards. But then if you stare at it and you think it's going away, the ship flips and then it's going away. And now I can't flip it back without really having to concentrate on how I first saw it. And then I had to look it up, and it's deliberate. It's deliberately done that way to question whether we've fallen asleep.
no, I'm looking. I'm staring at the card. I'm experiencing what you're talking about. Fucking falling asleep.
Especially when you didn't respond then. I was like, shit, it's fallen asleep. I know you've had a long day at work.
Oh dear. Oh, that was funny. Well, if I needed waking up, then that's certainly done it.
Yeah. Whoa, that optical illusion is amazing. It is. It just blew my mind. And I was like, oh, I've been looking at it wrong. And then I was like, have I? And I really confused myself. And then I looked it up, and Anna says in the book, if you you decide whether it's coming towards you or going away. It's a deliberate optical illusion. What do you see initially? Coming towards or going away?
I think it's coming towards. It's got to be. Because the height, looking at the height of the masts, like the closest one appears the tallest, and when you look at like they're in front of the ones behind, you know what I mean? So I'm like, you know, it's got to be coming towards me. But I can see what you mean. Do you know what I mean? Like I do see what you mean.
If you look
But
at
yeah,
the
it's the
bow,
masts that.
yeah.
Sorry, what were you going to say there? If you look at what?
I said if you look at the bow of the ship, that's the bit where I'm like, whoa.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I can see exactly what you mean, and that's why I was intensely staring at it when you thought I had fallen asleep. Oh, that'd be funny. Like, what would we do if one of us is falling asleep? How awkward would that be?
I
At
would
least if it's me, I think you can put me on mute. Whereas if it was the other way about, if you're just like started snoring,
I
I
won't put
can't
you on
end
mute.
live. I can't mute you.
I wouldn't. What I would do is I think I'd carry on for a bit, and then if you didn't wake up, I think I'd pick up my phone and I'd ring you and say, "Oi, wake up!"
Oh, funny.
That was hilarious.
Right. Right. Yeah, that was the one I had as well, by the way. So I'll let you
Well, I'll go
finish the next
quickly
one.
then, quickly through them. So the Six of Wands, I think, is beautiful. It's about recognition, isn't it? And it's about receiving praise, as you can see here with them clapping. But she's a ballerina, and it's somebody who's really perfected their craft after what would have been, years and years of dedication, practice, and even failure to be able to get to that point of being a ballerina. And then I'd got the 9. Just when I was talking earlier about the use of shading, and you really get a sense of despair here with the 9 of Wands. Really battle bruised and but still standing, still going. But I love that perspective of the dark, it being in the dark. And then my only quote is from this suit, and it's the Knight of Wands. And I love this. And again, it's when you first see it, you see this knight, and he's holding in his hand this fire elemental, this kind of little otherworldly being, this sprite representing the element of fire. But what is really cool is in the background is the page from the previous card, which I just thought, I love that interconnectedness, because if you remember, the way she groups her court families are in the same landscape. So I just thought it was really cool that you have your page who's gathering the firewood to make the fire within the woods where the court family are living. And then here is the knight with his fire sprite, thinking about, how to ignite the firewood, and she's there in the background collecting the wood. Then obviously we go on to the other courts where they're then making the fire and then enjoying the warmth from the fire. But I just thought that night was a brilliant, and I had to mention it.
Nice. So is that your one quote?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Cool.
And I feel awful saying
Lord,
one quote, because like I say, they're all freaking amazing, aren't they?
yeah, yeah, they are. Yeah, they're beautiful. I mean, she's depicted them beautifully, but just the concept of them is genius.
Hi, Calla, by the way.
Okay, swords. I've got 5 swords cards.
I've got 4, so you go.
Okay, 2 of swords.
Yeah, of course. Perfect.
So the masks that we wear. You know, she's stuck between. She's in 2 minds. 2 of swords, 2 minds. Duality of the mind. She's in 2 minds about something. Um, I also just love that we've got this. Sometimes I think the 2 of swords is like the feeling like piggy in the middle card. Do you know what I mean? Where you're like stuck between these 2 opposing things, and it's almost like you're in the middle and you lose your sense of identity. Kind of like if you've got 2 strong characters that you know, you're trying to be the negotiator, you're trying to be that balance in the middle. Um, we can sometimes lose or we forget that we've got a voice, we've got an opinion as well. And that's kind of nicely represented here. Um, I can go deeper with this card. She's kneeling on the swords, so because of everything that's going on, there's no freedom of thought. There's no room for maneuver. Things are very much locked in place. They are very much in a stalemate, because no one's changing their mind about anything. I just think it's really. I don't even know if she's intended quite all of that, or if that's just me going off on a tangent. But it inspires some pretty enjoyable tangents, and that's me for that one.
Yeah, I can't really add anything more than what you said. It's one of mine too. And when we're used to seeing the traditional, she's blindfolded, but here, there's no purpose for a blindfold because it's just a blank face. But what I really really like about it is it's about what we reveal to the world, isn't it? What we show, what we're prepared to show, or what aspect of ourselves do we want to reveal at any given time in any certain circumstance.
Yeah. What have you got next?
The one I have next is my alternative card, because the 3 of swords is where we get 2 options, isn't it?
Yep. Yeah, so I've got a 3 of swords.
So I've got one of these.
Okay. So which one have you got?
So for this
I
one,
think you might have the opposite one from me.
I think we have on probably both.
Right.
Well, maybe, I don't know, but I've gone for the alternative one here.
Oh, okay. So
Have
have
you,
I.
have you as well? I wonder if it's for the same.
Yeah.
Um,
I totally thought you would go with because you're a Rider-Waite Smith bitch, so I totally thought that you would have went with the traditional.
Rider-Waite Smith bitch. And I just love the image. Firstly, the swords instead of penetrating the heart, is penetrating the book, and all the words or the letters from the book are exploding out because of the penetration of the swords, and then they're going into this receptive mind, open and for the knowledge to come in. And I like it as an alternative, but like I say, I keep both in. But the reason, like we said earlier, that's because this is about the numerological and elemental association. So if we think of swords, it's about intellect, it's about our thought, it's about our mind. But what she talks about with this is, because we're at the 3, it's the journey, and we're at the part of going from unknowing to knowing. and I just thought it was brilliant. But I don't have it in, as I said, in place of. I have it in as an additional 2 because I think I can get another meaning if I pull that card.
Yep. Cool. Yeah, I can't put it. I can't add any more to that. That's the reason why I've got this one. Why I love this one and why I chose it over the the more traditional Three of Swords. The more traditional Three of Swords to me speaks to more like it's more of an emotional card really, and that to me is the job of the Five of Cups. So yeah, I love this one. What's next for you?
That was cool. Okay, but do you ever try and pick out words? I haven't, but I suppose you're looking at it like a word search. Are they random?
Oh yeah.
My next one is the 8
Oh,
swords.
okay.
Love the perspective. We're actually looking from above. We're looking down at her. And where we're used to seeing somebody blindfolded, it's just ribbons. It's not ropes that are binding it, it's ribbons, and one of them has slipped, so she's actually got the added advantage of being able to see through at least one eye as a way out. They're not as tightly bound, they're quite loose. But the really cool thing is if you look at it from this perspective, the swords are just laying on the ground. All she has to do is walk forward. She's not trapped. It's that self-imposed prison because of the mind and what's happening in her mind that is making her feel that she's trapped. So I just thought that was a really cool perspective because this deck has so many different perspectives of looking at the cards,
Yeah.
and this one from from what we talked about from the Hangman, or where you're the third person. So this is really cool. I love that the swords are just laying on the floor as well.
Yeah. I love how Anna depicts hair.
Yeah,
I think
wild.
she does, yeah, always like this kind of a wild, beautiful, like I'm just like looking at the cards that are on top of the other piles here, but like it's just so unique the way she does it. I think it's one of the things that makes her art so unique is how she depicts hair.
Yeah.
So I had the 8 as well. I've got a couple before the 8 though. I've got the 6. Um, so I just like the alternative of kind of having this bird that she's flying across the chaotic waters on. But if you look deep into the card, you can actually see the traditional boat there as well. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
And then have you got another swords card?
Yeah, I've got the so we get to the 10, don't we? And we've got 2 10s.
Right.
Oh, no, did you notice as well the one you've just shown that there is a child that she's holding? Like
Yeah.
in the boat, it's a mother. It's always shown as like a mother and child, isn't it? If you zoom right in, there's another little face look under her chin.
Oh, yeah.
She's protecting that child again as she's making a journey across the treacherous waters.
Yeah. Yeah. And I suppose what's quite nice is in Pixie's image, there's like a male figure there who's like kind of like ferrying them across, that's helping them, that's providing that assistance.
Yeah.
Um,
Whereas here it's
which,
frozen.
yeah, like whereas here it's the bird, you know, um, that's helping them across, that's coming to their aid. So it's quite nice.
So
Um,
The two
So
ten.
of your two tens,
This one. So I've gone more traditional this time, but
yeah,
there's one reason, because if it had just been the person on the floor,
hmm
but and again, Anna's done this as a theme, because this, if you remember Tower of Echoes, there's a person hanging from a cliff by her fingertips, and that's
right,
what
yeah,
that's what you focus on, and the swords. But she pointed out to me when I had her on and I was interviewing her that there's footsteps on the top of the cliff. So
yeah,
is her predicament one of her own making? Maybe someone's come and they've gone to go and get help, or maybe it's somebody that's put her in that predicament and then,
yeah,
absconded and left her. And again, in this, is this person going to help? Are they going to walk on by? Or actually, are they the perpetrator of that person's anguish?
yeah,
And that's open to interpretation, just like how she's done it in her Tower of Echoes. And I love that. I love where there's just a curveball put in that gets you to think about something completely differently. And
yeah,
she doesn't offer, this, here comes somebody to help. She leaves it to you as the reader to decide that. Same with the footprint
yeah.
in the other one. I think that's just really clever.
I agree. The 10 that I have in my deck is this one. But this is what I was saying earlier. I do love the I do love that 10 for that reason. It kind of puts me in mind of, like, how the way that I feel like we've done this training in our work. It's non-inclusive behaviors. And in the training, they show a YouTube clip, and it's like it's basically actors who are in the street saying, like, oh, help, or they kind of act like they're in distress, and it's the idea is to see how long it takes for someone to actually come and help them, and it shows that people don't like going outside the norm. So see if everyone else is just walking by and ignoring them, that's what most people will do, because the how uncomfortable it is to step outside the kind of a done thing, what everyone else is doing. For lots of people, that that kind of like it trumps the kind of the instinct in you that makes you want to go and help the person. It's just really eye opening. It makes me think of how we are with, like, um like homeless people. Not we. I'm saying that like we all do it, but like homeless people in the street. There's people that won't even be polite. Can't even say, "Oh, sorry, I don't have any change," or "Yes, I do have change. Here you go. Can I get you a coffee?" Like, there's people that won't even speak to them. Do you know what I mean? And it's astounding, but it's so common, and that's what that card makes me think of. I think it's a really powerful card. Um, really emotive. I have one more swords card, and it's the Seven of Swords.
I love
I just think it's
what lurks in the
it's
shadows.
powerful. It's,
Mm.
yeah, lurking. It's kind of quite creepy. Do you know what I mean? Which now anyone who's kind of saw me read a lot knows that I tend not to kind of read too much. The kind of a deception, the kind of that overly negative interpretation of the Seven of Swords. But when this comes up, I kind of make a bit of an exception, just because I love this image, and I think I think it's just lends itself to that, in a really good way. Um, so yeah, it kind of puts me in mind because the strength card has that really kind of a dark background, and you're only seeing certain, like you don't see the whole line, you just see like kind of pretty much just its face and maybe a wee bit of its chest. It's like that. Sorry, I need to stop yapping and speed up.
That's fine.
Stop going on soapboxes and tangents.
And the background for the courts is a maze, so you'll see this
Yeah.
labyrinth maze in the background, which is great for thinking of the mind and the intellect and having to navigate your way through.
Yeah. And the sun gets kind of a closer and closer to the person through each court.
Yeah.
It's cool. Pentacles. How many have you got?
5.
I've got 4. You go first.
Okay. Ace. Really love this again. I seem to have a thing about the kind of roots and connection to Earth, don't I? But for me, this sums up that the Earth, the Pentacle suit is the Earth suit. The Earth is everything. We are the Earth. You know, we come from the Earth. We didn't come from anywhere else. Everything that we are, we have to give thanks to the Earth, and this shows that this is who we are. We are just like the trees, like anything else on this planet. We came from this Earth, and we're dependent on it. You know, the tree here, that's what gives us oxygen. You know, we're connected to everything, and the Earth sustains us. And it just makes me think about how our responsibility whilst we're here as part of the Earth, which we are, how we treat it with respect or with disrespect. But it sustains us. We are part of it.
Yeah. I've got the 4 as my first one. And again, this is just because like I love how he's covered by the pentacle. It makes me think of how for like the idea of like your material stuff being so important to you that it's almost like it defines you, you know. And that's, to be fair, that's quite common. Do you know what I mean? Lots of people like they need to have an amazing car or the best phone or this amazing house because that's the image that they're portraying to everyone else. And like on the flip side, you get people who judge people by the car they drive or the house they've got, or do you know what I mean? It's all this material stuff. It's this kind of a being defined by the shit that you've accumulated, the stuff you've got. Now I know, like I think you've said to me, Simon, you kind of like to see this as more of a card of material stability rather than that miserable type energy. And then again, normally me too, but this is like that 7 of Swords where just the way that it's depicted, it really kind of pulls me in that other direction.
Yeah, and I guess it's because of when we think of 4, I always think of stability. You know, that's the key word for 4 legs on a chair, stable, rigid. And whenever I see it, I like the RWS image. Doesn't bother me because I think that is stability. Hold on to your resources. Don't be frivolous. You need to have a stable income. You need to have for those rainy days and things like that, you've got something there that you can rely on. So I've got the 3 just before that. I just love this image. It's somebody tug of war, and how again, when we think of the 3 in the traditional sense, but how this strength in unity when someone gives a helping hand. So if you're pulling against that rope all on your own, it's arduous, it's tough. But if somebody comes and joins on and starts pulling with you, you've got that strength in unity. And therefore it's that sort of teamwork. It's working together to achieve something. But I just love the image as well. I think it's really powerful just having these this helping hand. You've got the two hands at the top, and then someone coming along and saying, "I've got you." You know.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. My next one is the 7. I like to read the 7 as about waiting for the right time, and the fact that we see. Not sure if this is like an oven, like things baking in an oven, or if it's like a kiln where things are being kind of baked in that. But it's the idea of like, you can't really speed it up. It takes the time that it takes, and you need to wait until the right time to harvest those resources. Um, I just think it's depicted really nicely.
I wonder, because to me, I thought there was like loaves that were going into an oven, but yeah, a baker
Yeah,
would all day using her training experience to transform simple, everyday ingredients into a wholesome, hearty meal that will nourish and sustain her patrons.
yeah. So it's a baking oven then.
Yeah. I'd got before that, I'd got the 5. I mean, the 5 of Pentacles is a card that I always check out anyway, and it's a very important card. What I love about this is that usually we're seeing people trudging through the snow and there's the warm glow of the church and they're on the outside, but there is actually a refuge here. You see the person in the background kind of opening the doors. It's a completely different perspective. You've still got some those that are in need of shelter and warmth and something to sustain them. But here the door is being flung open and actually saying, come in, have rest, and we'll take care of you.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's really nice. The next one I've got is the 10.
I've got the 10 too.
You got the 10 too?
I've got the 10 as well. I've got one before it, but we'll go with the 10 because then that other one will be the last one.
Okay. I just think there's a brilliant depiction, the idea of legacy. The idea of, so we see like this staircase that starts on one hand, but continues on the other. So it's the idea of, I'm thinking of like a business, being handed down from father to son, for example, from parent to child. The parent retires, the child takes it on, but they continue to grow it and make it it continues to change and evolve and become something new. Similarly with the tree, we see the roots on one hand, the tree continues to grow on the other and reach new heights. Yeah, it's such a, yeah, it's so simple and yet so effective.
It's amazing. And it's intergenerational as well. So you've got the older one with the life experiences and knowledge, passing the information to the younger one. The younger one has the sprouting life. But because of the whole cyclical nature of the 10, where it comes around again, the tree in the 10 is the tree from the ace. So it takes it back round to the ace again, which I just think is brilliant. You're absolutely right. It's a really simple image, but it is so profound. And again, this is one of those cards that on the surface you might look at it and think, oh yeah, nice decorated two-hand. But when you really look at all the symbols in there and what they represent of that completion of a life, and then starting again with the new life and then taking that back to the ace.
Yeah. Amazing.
So I've got
Right,
the
you ready for my...
Oh,
sorry,
right.
you've got one more. I beg your pardon.
That's all right. So I've just got the 9, which was the one before that. And I just really love this because I referenced it earlier anyway, and this was one of those cards that I looked at for the longest time, thinking, where are the 9 pentacles? But they're there in a headband. Again, you don't always notice it when you first look. But when we think of the 9 of Pentacles and the lady in the garden with a long dress, she's always usually holding like a bird of prey or something, or with the head gear. She's nurturing new life here with this little finch, very delicately, very gently. And I just think it's really beautiful, that protective element of nurture, and yeah, it's lovely.
Yeah. Nice. Right,
See.
my one court card is the Page of Pentacles. I just trying to remember why I picked this card actually. I don't know, that's the first time that's ever happened to me where I can't remember. Like I know I love it because I love them all, but like why did I single out this one? I think I love the fact that so the key,
Yeah,
this key travels through the Pentacles courts. So the page is kind of it's almost like he's just discovering it. I think the knight's got it round his neck. The queen's using it to open up a chest, and then I can't remember if the king actually does have the key in it. But there's that. There's the fact that the knight is kind of like coming along. Like you can see the knight and the card behind it.
like in the suit with the page and the knight together. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I do really like this card. I just can't remember what made me pick it. That's so strange. So strange. Oh well, what a way to end my favourite cards, but there you go. Page of Pentacles.
Cool. Well, that was fun. We've been on for nearly 2 hours, but I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all, because when we were doing this earlier, I was thinking, this deck is just so beloved that we would struggle. In some ways, I still don't think we've done it justice, because we've had to just choose certain cards, and like we said, we could have talked about everyone, because there isn't a single card in the whole of this deck where I'm like, meh. Very often, well, more times than not, when we do throwbacks, we will talk about cards that we like the least. I haven't got one. I don't know about you, but this time for this month, I haven't got one, and I don't know if that's the first. Because we always say, well, it's an amazing deck, but maybe this one, because it doesn't seem to be in keeping, or not quite sure where we're going with it. Like when we did Shadowlands, for me, it was the Tins of Paint. But seriously, there isn't a single card in this deck that I just don't think is genius. Really genius, every single one.
Yep, I agree. I love them all. What would you think about seeing a colour version of this deck?
Well, I think at one time, I thought about, I wonder if Anna will ever do a colour version, or US Games might say to her, how do you feel about doing a colour version? And of course I would get it, but I don't think it's needed. To me, there's the light and shadow aspect of this deck. It's enough, and the detailing in the line work. I think, I don't know what a color version might add. I'd have to see it, but for me, this is a perfect deck, and I don't know of course I would get it because it's on Artorians, and I'd like to see how it reads. But there's something about this that is just I don't know what a color version of this would give me.
Right.
I don't know. Would you like to see a color version?
Well, yeah, that's like that.
I do want to.
I don't expect that I don't expect that Anna will make a color version of it, because I think it's, you know, it was a black and white deck because she wanted to make it a black and white deck. But I've got that second copy, and maybe one of these days I'll go through and color it, just to see how it goes. And if it doesn't go so well, then I've always, I've not lost it because I've still got this copy of it.
But there's so much line work. I mean, how would you even begin to color? Do you know what I mean?
I would need I'd need to think about,
Yeah. But I love it as it is. It's perfect. It's a perfect deck. And the more I use it, the more I fall in love with it. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. That's why it's got a special pouch. It's always on my desk. Yeah. So next month
we are looking at the Wildwood Tarot, and I am going to, fair warning now, folks, this is one deck mod that I have absolutely botched. It is a disgrace to a point where I don't even get the deck out, neither I do. So yeah, I'm giving you fair warning now. It looks a mess, but it's a stunning deck, and it will be good to go through.
Now, interestingly, that's why I have the Wildwood out on my desk, because I'm about to do something with it, because I think I'm going to make a video either tomorrow night or Saturday, not on the deck, but my thought process at the minute with the whole Greenwood Wildwood thing. So it's on there, and I've got my trusted guillotine and corner rounder and stuff. So if it goes horribly wrong, I can always get another one before our live. But so that would be...
How are you? Do you know the backs will look silly when you take it down to the images?
Looks silly
for that?
because the trees.
Yeah. Let me show you. So I've taken mine down to that.
Yeah.
But then the backs, just the lines don't line up nicely at all. So you'd need to, well, you wouldn't need to, but it would be better if you were going to back it as well, put some sort of back on it.
So Ellis Elizabeth, not Ellis, Eris Elizabeth, who did the Penumbra Tarot. I was watching her channel, and she's modified hers and backed it. But it's like that. It's really thick. She finds it difficult to shuffle. I can't back decks. I did one with Kelly Bears, but if she hadn't been there to help me, it wouldn't have turned out great. But we'll see. I think I could live with that back anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So it'll be the 5th of September. Can you believe we're talking about September already? We're talking about autumn the next time we meet.
Yeah. Looking forward to it. That'll be good.
Yeah. I'll be back at work. Summer will be done. But anyway, thanks for hanging out, Chris. Anything you got coming up that you want to mention on your channel?
Nothing on my channel. for anyone who's local to me, anyone who's in Glasgow or nearby, I am reading at the Glasgow Witchy Bazaar a week on Sunday, on the 11th. I think that's a week on Sunday. So yeah, if you're about, then feel free to pop in. Haberdashery on Sucky Hall Street, 12 till 4 p.m. Pop in and say hi, grab a reading with me. But in terms of my channel, nothing much coming up. Planning on doing another live with Marion and Chris Butler at some point soon, but there's no date in the diary for that yet. What about you, Simon?
I'm going to do a video about the Greenwood, and there'll be a cup of catch-up and cards on Saturday. I know Andrea Aste wants to do another live, but that's not straight away. And then Cheryl and I are going to be planning a spotlight in the next couple of weeks when she's had some decks in. But yeah, other than that, yeah, just the normal schedule, really. Cool. All right. Well, thanks for being here, everybody. I hope you've enjoyed hanging out with us tonight, and we will see you on the 5th. Bye, everyone.
Yep. Bye, everyone. Thank you.